This is West Africa Weekly, a live series brought to you by Lynx and Arvy where we talk about oil and gas news, projects, and developments that you can sink your teeth into. Here are your hosts, Greg and Arvy. Hello.
Hey, Greg.
How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, running around at the last minute, but it's all good.
Good.
All right. Seems like it's been another busy week.
Yeah, it has been pretty busy. So, your vessel finally got free in the Suez Canal.
Yeah, I saw that. I was waiting for overtime because I was going to give Ryan a little bit of trouble about the Ever Given. Ryan sent out a newsletter, and it wasn't a newsletter. I think it was it was a show with Dr. Walt, and he said they had missed a day because they had been in Egypt working in the Suez Canal, freeing the Ever Given. So, right. So it was total joke. But I was thinking, I said the better one that would be there would be Arvy. She would be a bit closer to that. So anyway, yeah, it got looked like it got freed up there.
Yeah. I tell you what I've been really enjoying is all the memes that people have been creating online. It's been so entertaining. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, we had posted a few as well. They were great. Yeah, they were absolutely great. All right. Let's see here. Let's get the rundown up. We'll get started. So where are you at right now, Arvy?
So I'm actually still in Angola. I'm going to be here, I think, for another couple of weeks, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really quite beautiful. I've been doing a bit of walking around the city. Really nice place. Enjoying it.
That's good. Any time away from the desk is good.
Exactly.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah.
Peru. We got Peru. We have Spain. Hello, everyone. Mustafa, Wayne, Romel. Welcome to the show. All right. For our rundown there, we'll talk about the oil prices, Eni and Sonatrach, Elton Group, and Port of Dakar, and briefly about the issues in Mozambique, and the PGS survey work offshore Egypt. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get those oil prices in there. So, Arvy, that is for the WTI, that's $60.44, and for the crude, that is $63.91. So, I was reading there where the long-term outlook is looks like it will gradually get better as more vaccines are being rolled out. What's your thoughts?
I think what's really showed me is this for the last week, the Suez Canal issue has really brought into play the reflection of what a small incident like that can do for the oil and gas price. So I'm thinking, there's always going to be events that we can manage, which will predict which way the oil price goes. But
Certainly.
I'm just hoping that you're right. The vaccination stuff and getting travel going again, these are all going to be mitigating factors. So I'm hoping that, these things get sorted out as soon as possible. So I know that the UK are heavy rolling out the vaccinations, and I know so are the US. So I'm hoping that things do get back to normal, which will impact, obviously, the oil price for us.
Oh, absolutely. But you're right, though. It is. It does go to show you what one choke will do. One chokehold.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the market news side, Eni and Sonatrach have signed some agreements to relaunch exploration in the Burkina Basin. Eni CEO and the president general manager of Sonatrach met this past week in Milan to sign various agreements in the exploration and production, research, development, decarbonization, and training fields. These agreements mark a further step forward in strengthening the partnership between the two companies. One of their first agreements were on the, of course, mentioned Burkina Basin, as well as staff and other sectors, training staff and other sectors. But Harvey, how do you see them getting on with this? You're largely in kind of the human capital part of the business with local content. So is this something that you think they are kind of gearing up toward, kind of right here, kind of right now strategy, or more kind of like futures with LNG and other opportunities?
I think it's one of two things. I think it's actually both, a combination of both, Greg, because you see a large projects and agreements like this, they're always supported by project planning and mobilization planning of personnel. So when any contract like this, framework agreement, is signed off, it has to have a very detailed kind of overview as to your personnel planning, who will be based in country, who will be out of country, etc., along with a number of skill sets to support the project. And I think that, there's only, and Greg, you know this, working in industry as well, there's only a certain amount of oil and gas people with expert skills as well, including the LNG sector. So you're not always going to have, for example, I remember many years ago, we were looking for a specialist, an ROV specialist, that had operated in West Africa. So there was a very niche job scope that we had. And I remember how long it actually took us to actually find an individual with the right skill set, that was acceptably qualified. So I think that this has definitely got to do with forward-thinking planning from ENI, which I think is a good thing, because they're looking at a really large kind of project schedule-wise, 5 years plus. So things like this, you've got to really look at your kind of business management planning as well as your personnel planning when you're putting together a framework like this.
Excellent answer, Arvy. Massive. That's fantastic. I loved it. It was great. It was great.
Do I get some points for this or something, Greg? Is this like a point system?
If you have a card and you have a hole punch, you may get enough. You may get enough hole punches there. Maybe I'll get you a free espresso. How about that?
Oh, super, Greg. Well, yeah, okay, good.
Or maybe depends on where we're at. Maybe an Americano. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Depending on where we're at, you're right. Absolutely.
Certainly. All right. Next on the list here, we have Elton Group, and they have been putting some money into the Port of Dakar. Right. So I think that was 121 million into the LNG storage facility. But Elton Group will looks like they're concessionaire of the gas terminal there at Port of Dakar. So this is kind of signaling the company's growing role in Senegal. So they're saying that it'll be the first port able to, which I didn't know this until I looked it up, but it'll be the first port that's able to accommodate shipping or ships using LNG as fuel, which would give them a significant competitive advantage over other ports in the sub-region. So, Arvy, we've seen investments like this in the past. Sounds like LNG is kind of really taking a foothold. So how do you kind of see Elton Group fitting in with names like Cosmos, BP, Woodside, and of course here recently, end of 2020, Indian oil company ONGC. So do you kind of think that kind of brings them up to that stage, or depends on kind of what more long term?
Sure, I think so. And also, Greg, just to give you an indication, I didn't know too much about Elton. So I've done a bit of research over the last week or so just to have a look at who they are, and yesterday spent some time. And I think it's a really big achievement and a great milestone for a local company. Okay, now this is something, they're a Senegalese distribution
company. They are a local company. Absolutely.
And listen, and this is a really big play for a company like that, that to actually have a market share and actually have a scope whereby, you're supporting the LNG sector right now. And that's, I don't know if it's the COVID period, but I've seen massive contracts when it comes to kind of what kind of investment we're looking at. I've seen some really big contracts coming on board.
So for me, I think we talked. It's actually, we've mentioned it a couple of times. Are we seeing a sort of gap here from the IOCs being involved in some of these larger in-country projects, and some of the NOCs are just like, okay, let's just go get it done, or some of the local companies are going out and finding additional investment? Because I think some of this investment actually came from U.S. banks and some other places too for this facility. So we talked about it before, but what do you think?
I think that, look, the majors, they're called majors for a reason, super majors, because they dominate and operate in a certain capacity. But I also think it's an opportunity for small, mid-tier companies, local companies to actually start, just having a piece of the cake, what's happening locally. And I think now, because of the situation that we're in globally, there's lots of there's lots of finance companies that want to finance local companies. They see the potential for capacity building there, and these guys have a good track record. Saying that, I don't think the majors have ruled out any project expansion as well, if there's a good opportunity. But these guys, from what I've seen and reports that I've read, majors usually look at 250, 300, $500 million. They're looking at really, really big projects here, billion plus. But I think, saying that, I mean, a project like this is going to be, I think this is going to be really, really successul.
Speaking about the project size, I mean, we were talking there before about BD and Cosmos. I think that was what, 4.6 billion or something like that for the facility. Yeah. So a massive project, but to be a local company to put in this kind of money is very substantial. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Big time and fun.
Have you worked in Dakar before?
I have not.
No, nor have I actually.
Quite nice. So.
No, nor have I.
They look like they have a pretty good facility there. Looks capable.
Yeah, they do.
There was also a large investment into the from DP World into the actual shipyard facility itself there that you look in the photo there in the far and up in the center. So, I mean, they're expanding and putting in more resources, and it looks great. We'll briefly run across Total and some of the other situation that's taking place in Mozambique right now. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we'll just briefly talk about it. But Arvy, of course, it's been kind of all over the news, but Total, of course, evacuated most of its remaining employees from its liquefied natural gas project in northern Mozambique as insurgents came in and kind of throwing off one of the biggest private investments kind of into disarray. But we talked about Mozambique just about every show we've had, and it seems like just at the point where they were getting back to ramping operations back up, this unfortunate event took place. But I understand there's been multiple deaths up to this point. But first, from myself and me and both Arvy here at West Africa Weekly, our hearts and our thoughts go out to everyone that's in Mozambique. We understand what it's like being in a place of unrest, and we certainly understand the risk, that's involved with people working away from home and in foreign countries. But for the local people there in Palma, my condolences to those that have lost loved ones. So, Arvy, any comments from your side?
I agree. Just to reiterate what Greg stated, it's not easy, the situation that's going on in Mozambique, but we just hope that the government take a position of assisting locally what's going on. It's not an easy time. It's very tough.
No, absolutely not. And it's just it's unfortunate, and we hope that all the families get some closure and some things get taken care of there, and everybody can kind of get back to some kind of normalcy. But we wish them the best. So.
Sure, absolutely.
as we try to highlight new work and other things on the horizon and kind of the Africa, in relations to new work, we wanted to close on a high note here. So PGS has been awarded some new survey work offshore Egypt with a super major. So they've been awarded a high-fidelity 3D exploration program by a super major offshore Egypt. It's not named at this moment, but I'm sure it'll be named in a bit. But this will enable efficient recording of offsets up to 16 kilometers of critical for imaging deeper, complex exploration targets. Arvy, the kind of Egypt and the Med and that area, there's been a huge hotspot across kind of 2020, and it looks like it's still going into 2021. So the region is set up for a huge stage right now if they can continue down this path. What do you think?
I think you're right, actually, and I think that especially for when I mean the North Africa, so not excluding just including Egypt. So we're looking at Libya as well as Algeria and Morocco. So the North region right now is really buoyant with projects, and I think you're right. I think the last 18 months have really just, for example, I think exactly. There's been like a boom of everybody wanting to go to North Africa and start looking at Egypt's scope of offshore development as well. But I think Egypt's a bit it's ahead of the game here purely because it's infrastructure and what I've seen. So I'm thinking Egypt's a bit more advanced than Morocco or Libya and Algeria when it comes to infrastructure development for offshore work. So I'm kind of I'm expecting big things from PGS here.
There's a lot of one of the things that Egypt's had going for them for I guess ever since it's been around is they're really early into a lot of different things. Take for example, it's one of the oldest cities in the world. So the thing or Cairo, but Egypt and the country itself. But the thing about it is there's some very early players in the market there. Some older companies that have been there for quite some time. Been there since the 60s and the 70s, as well as the kind of let's see. So that would be the eastern part of Egypt. In that area, there's a lot of substantial work going on land as well. So there's huge investment taking place there. There's a lot of MOUs. It seems like every time we talk about something, we're talking about MOUs and contracts. Yeah. But there has been there's a large projects with Chevron. I think Chevron just picked up a lot of Noble Energy's work there. Over the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be, expanding. So it's a lot of good opportunity for people in Egypt and for the Mediterranean itself.
Sure, you're absolutely right.
All right. Well, it looks like we kind of cleared out this week. So it is Good Friday. We'll go back across tomorrow, and let me see. We'll go back across the comments here, see if we got any questions. No questions yet. That's Algeria, Long Beach, California. Hey, that's a good ways away there. David and Seuss. Let's see. EG. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to the show. That's Nigeria. It's great. That's great. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. But that's bringing us to a close here, Arvy. We've cleared out this week. So Good Friday and Easter weekend coming. So for those back in the U.S. and around the world to celebrate Easter, happy Easter, and have a safe and wonderful weekend with your families. Sure.
So happy Easter, Greg. And I guess I'll be catching up with you next week then, yeah? A week from now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll speak with you next week. And so that's great. Everyone take care, and we will see everyone next week.
Thank you, everybody. See you later. Bye, Greg. See ya.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. You've been watching West Africa Weekly, a live series brought to you by Lynx and Arvy Nahar. Your hosts have been Greg and Arvy. For sponsorship opportunities, send us an email at info@riglynx.com. Tune in next Thursday at 8 a.m. CST for another live episode.